Hey, what's going on? Wanted to show you how to do a little bit of day trading and to get everything started. Don't use too many indicators, but there is an indicator that I enjoy using. Reason I like using this indicator is because it has a strong hold on the actual price action and doesn't move that often, doesn't move that much, right? So what I use, I have it under my favorites. You go to indicator, it's DMI Stochastic Extreme version 2 by UCS Gears 1965, and then just a regular stochastic. So in order to find the DMI Stochastic Extreme, because it's misspelled, just start searching STO, and it's right here. You'll see I have a star by it. It's on my favorites. Bam, UCS Gears, right? So once we get that open, we'll make a little bit of edit changes. So I'll get this into the defaults, reset settings. What I'll do is I'll take off, uncheck these boxes right here, leave the stochastic. I will make this stochastic the biggest line, opacity at 100%, step line, right? So really, the simplification of how this indicator works is if it's lower than it previously was, we're in downtrend. If it's higher than the previous candle, it's in an uptrend. Now, in order to determine the market and the price action, I use the 4-hour, right? I use the 4-hour time frame. And that's my basis of actual price action. Now, this right here, this does change. Not often, but it does change, right? So what you can do is add an alert, right? For it to alert you when it does change, and crossing up, since we're in a downtrend, crossing up and the current value is 0, right? So value crossing up, make sure we're on this indicator, and then we'll hit create. So it'll give us an alert whenever the value on the 4-hour changes up, right? And then I just have a regular stochastic. My purpose for stochastics, I don't really use them too much, but it helps me to determine the overall tops and bottoms of a market. Now, the other way that I determine tops and bottoms of a market is based off of price action from the weekly chart, right? So what I'll do is I'll go to the weekly chart, right? And I will create a vertical line like that, right? That's the beginning of the week. And then I'll go to the daily chart, right? And the Sunday, right? So the first day is usually, like what I'll do is I'll create horizontal lines on both the first day of the week. So this one right here, here's the low, here's the high, right? So for the most part, that's going to determine for the most part, the overall range, right? So that's where the price is going to want to be. Then each day that goes by during the week, I'll create the previous day's high and low with more horizontal lines. So that from right here, today's a Friday, so it's the end of the week. And if you notice, look, put in this trade right here on my demo account. And look, right here, and then it's all the way down here. So not bad, right? So, he fits that. Oh, wow, 176, cool. It's cool. So we have these two lines right here, and they do change every day, right? So I'll keep the first lines from the first day of the week, and then I'll just change, right, the daily lines, right? Oops, I forgot to put this one, 1, 2, 3. Damn. Right, cool. Now that I have that out of the way, I'll go back to the 4-hour, right? And as I mentioned earlier, price action is mostly based off of this, right? So since it's down, and it's been down for a while, we'll go to the 15-minute chart, and I'll show you what to do on that, right? But before I do that, on the 4-hour chart, I like to look at the stochastic right now. And with that stochastic, let me make sure I'm recording. That would be terrible if I'm not. Okay, we are. Cool, let's get back on. So just this helps me determine if we're like in the middle of the range. if we're oversold or overbought. Of course, if it's up here, it's for the most part overbought, so we're potentially looking at reversals soon for the overall trend. Same thing for right here, and if we're in the middle, consolidation, right? So you don't know which way it'll go with consolidation, but I'll show you how to pinpoint the different consolidation. So what I like to do is, oh, there's one more indicator, sessions indicator, right? So search in sessions. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's sessions on chart. I think. I honestly don't know. I know I've had a hard time with the sessions because some of them work good and some don't. Let's see. Maybe it's sessions on chart. No. Maybe? No. Definitely not sessions on chart. Let's look for the right one. Maybe it's, I think it's the second one that comes up. SESS by Junior FX Addict, not Addict. I'm sorry. Let's see. Cool. So it is that one by Junior FS Addict, right? So what I'll do now is the day always starts off with, like, the trading day always starts off with the Asian market, right? So what I'll do is I'll go to the 1 hour chart, right? And I'm mountain time right now, but everything time wise, for the most part, I'm going to be referring to New York time, right? So Eastern time. So we're looking at 5 o'clock. I'll take that back. Let's actually change this to New York time. Let's see if it changes. Okay, cool. So we're looking at 5 o'clock, right? New York time, whenever the Asian market starts. And the Asian market will determine, for the most part, the highs and lows for the day, right? So I have all this right here, these green lines. Um, what I want to do now is kind of wait out the Asian market, and it'll end at, looks like, 2 in the morning, right? So as soon as the Asian market ends, we want to create horizontal lines, right? And this one's good, so really it's this, right? Between the high and the low, right? Now, the Asian market is super consolidation wise, right? For the most part, it's not going to have highs and lows that are more than 20 to 30 pips, right? So we look at the high and then go down to 30 pips, right? So this is kind of what we're looking at, right? It retested that high. Here's the low, right? Now, how do we determine after the Asian market which market we go in, right? So what you want to do is you want to go to the 15-minute chart, right? Once we go to the 15-minute chart, you'll be able to determine the market by going to, actually, I take that back. Let's go back to the 4 hour chart, right? So within the 4 hour chart, let's get rid of these lines. We can bring them up later. Right, so in the Asian market, this is what happened. Look at price action on the Asian market, right? Said it was going up, right? We're at the end of it going up from this previous move, right? And then it says it's going to go down, right? So when it says it's going to go down, it went up, right? It went up 10 pips. Not bad. I mean, not bad at all, but, and then shot down, right? So let's look at true, what really happened in the 15-minute when it went up, right? Now, this was all down. Or no, this was up, right? So if we would have kept in our trade from over here, we would have been bouncing around, not much, right? So really, we didn't lose much from the overall high. From the overall high, we only lost 7 pips worth of profit. So what I did was I kept it and then just got rid of it as soon as the market started saying it was going to go up, right? So I'll go back to the 4 hour chart, right? It says it's going to go down. Now here's where the fun part is, right? when it says it's going to go down, we put in a down, right? Now, whenever I'm trading, I like to do 3 pushes and a reversal followed by a W shape if we're in a downtrend and an M shape if we're in an uptrend, right? So basically what I'm saying here is if price action is going to, if we're going to lose on our price action from the 4-hour chart, we'll be able to determine that via a reversal of 3 like 3, how can I say this? If it pushes up 3 times and then fails. So 3 retracement, 3 failed retracements, and then a candle to the upside. Right, so this all said it was up, so we'll pull out our trend line and kind of just map it. This is where it started for the uptrend, right? Comes down, right? Says it was going to go up, go down, up. See, it broke past that, but we want it to break past 3 times, right? So essentially, we would have kept it from right here, and it's only went out like, I don't know, was it, remember worst case scenario, let's say we got at the bottom of the market, 14, 15 pips. If you want to wait till after the Asian, be my guest, potentially won't make as much money, but it's all on you, right? So even though 4-hour chart said this was going to go down and it was going the opposite way, the reason why we didn't hit the reversal or get out of the trade altogether is because there wasn't either a W shape or there wasn't 3, I keep forgetting the name of it, 3 retracements, 3 failed retracements, right? So that kind of helps you stay in the game, knowing you don't have to worry about the 4-hour changing on you, right? So, and then look what happened, right? That's technically 2, right? So it had 2 failed retracements, and then we're out of this market. So once we're out of the market, it clears the failed retracements, right? So now what we'll do is we'll go to London market, right? So go back to the 4-hour. Let's put in horizontal lines right here just to verify that this is the beginning of the green. It doesn't work out too well on the 4-hour chart. It gets wonky with the sessions. Anyway, yep. So go to info line, how long it's been, 76 pips, which is right where I'm at, you notice. Cool. So we'll go back to the 15-minute chart, and we'll pull out our trend line again, right? Didn't go higher than this, so doesn't count. What we're looking for a true reversal is 3 retracements, failed retracements, and then a hammer as well as another confirmation. So railroad tracks, right? Railroad tracks are basically these right here. These are railroad tracks where you have a green and a red that are identical in length and height for the most part, right? Give or take, because of course, it's not perfect, right? But so this is not a failed retracement because it didn't go higher than this. Close. Railroads don't count. Right here. Is this a failed retracement? Since railroads don't count, we go back to here. No, it's not a failed retracement. Just continuing to the downside, right? No failed retracement, so it's going to continue a downtrend, really, for a while now. So you ever get nervous, just look for those 3 failed retracements or a sharp W pattern, right? So a sharp W pattern will look something like this. I guess that's 1, 2, 3, yeah, with a long wick right here or right here. Most likely right here to the downside. That's the right here. This is what I just drew right here is the perfect example of a bullish reversal. I said that right. Basically, it was going down. Now it's gonna try to fake you out and then shoot up, right? So, all right. So good to keep the trade right here. Now, since today is a Friday, I don't like to keep my trades over the weekend, considering that it can gap on you. Doesn't happen often in Forex, which is really nice. It can gap on you. So I'll just wait out. For the most part, I like waiting out the Asian market anyway. Um, I'll try to predict tops and bottoms as best as I can in the Asian market, which I'll go over here shortly. So I'm in my last market. It actually just began, right? So what we'll do is we'll go to the 4-hour chart, get rid of all the drawings. And right here, we're continuing this downtrend for the longest time. Right here, you notice it's 0 for the extreme stochastic and then 0 for the next one, right? Right. So we'll go to the 15-minute chart. We'll change the session since we're in the New York session. And we'll just draw out our trend lines. Didn't go higher than the previous high, so that's a railroad, doesn't count. So take away the candles, you notice that there is no failed retracements whatsoever. So we're continuing a downtrend, right? However, something to keep in mind is we'll go with the 4-hour to see if we're looking for a potential reversal. And for the most part, we're not insanely oversold whatsoever. So we could still be going down. Now, to tie all this together, what we'll do is we'll go back to our weekly and daily charts, right? So once you have the price action direction figured out and these certain sessions and markets figured out, like with retracements and whatnot, we'll go back to what I showed you at the beginning, right? We'll go to the weekly, create a vertical line. Go to the daily, this candle right here is the candle where we'll create those green lines again, right? Here's the low, here's the high, and then the previous day's high and low as well, right? This will help us because those are major pivot points, right? So those are points where the market could turn, so you have to be even more cautious once you start getting around these green lines right here, right? Major lines of support and resistance. So what we'll do is we'll go back to the 4-hour, right? Downtrend. So we'll go back to the 15 and look what happened. I mean, it's lower than everything, right? Which is good. I mean, that's signs that next week, we've been consolidating for a while on the weekly and especially the daily. That's good signs that we could potentially break through even more to the downside, potentially hit. Actually, I want to see how many pips. Potentially hit right here, uh, more than likely right here. So, next week we could be looking at a 2, 3, 4, 500 pip candle. Who knows, right? So, I mean, that's just my observation from right now. It does change from day to day, of course. So, yeah. So, right now, since we're in territory that is unknown, I like to say anything under these greens is territory unknown. You have to be more cautious, especially when you're kind of lowish on the stochastic, right? So definitely be keeping an eye on price action. So it's super important for me to actually create a horizontal line right here because what we're looking for is failed retracement. For right now, add alert on horizontal line, crossing up, right? So as soon as price crosses up above that horizontal line, right, 1.41230. So as soon as price goes higher than that potential failed retracement, then we're good, right? You always want to check back, uh, every so often during the time period, especially if you're awake, to see if there has been a failed retracement or to see if your alert line has changed. But honestly, you don't have to really worry about that unless the alarm we set on the 4-hour has gone off. If that hasn't gone off, you definitely don't have to worry. So really, to kind of summarize everything up, I know it's a lot all in one, but it's several years worth of study. To summarize everything, you want to start with the weekly, right? So let's say this was a new week. You want to start with the weekly. Um, do a vertical line. Man, I probably butchered that every single time I did it. Oops, do a vertical line on the weekly. Then we'll go to the daily, right? And we're actually going to pretend that this is the beginning of the week, right? We'll open up the sessions. Let's say it's Sunday in the market, or it's Sunday and the market just opened. The Asian market is almost over, right? So that's going to be our certain scenario. Sorry about that. All right. So here's that. We don't have any previous. Oh, we do. We have the previous day from the previous week. That's what we're going on Sunday when the market opens. All right. So we'll go to the 4 hour. All right. Go to the horizontal line. Let's go to the 1 hour. Right. So remember, it doesn't go no more than 20 to 30 pips out of range, like in general in the Asian market. So we'll see what happens. This one's a little like an anomaly, but it happens, right? So if we would have traded that, we'd be on the 4 hour chart. Let's see. We would have been in a down up until the end of the Asian market, right? Yep, up until the end, and right when the Asian market ended, it jumped up, right? So it's something to be aware of. During the Asian market, you don't have to be as worrisome. However, what I probably would have done was went to the 15, knowing it was going down, uh, right? And I would have waited for a failed, like a failed retracement, right? So I would have looked for a huge green run, right? So this is consolidating, so huge wicks don't count. I would look for candles that have small green candles that don't have huge wicks, and then I would have waited for a railroad, right? So a green and then a red. So more than likely, I would have gotten in on this trade right here, this candle right here, right? And let's see, profit wise, I would have hit a huge 47 pip profit. While in Asian market, which is insane, right? So you look at price action again. Remember, we're looking for 3 failed retracements throughout throughout your whole existence in the session. This is 1 failed retracement, right? Bam, you only had 1 failed retracement. That was just a little bit of consolidation and a tiny push to the upside, which I actually would have gotten at the top, which I did actually. I traded it. This is where I traded, right? So that's what I'm looking for when I'm getting in on the Asian market is railroad pattern, basically patterns that have small wicks that are basically the same size, a green and a red if I'm in a down, or a red and a green if I'm in a up, right? So I would have hit 40 pips with a profit, right? It would have been 3 in the morning, New York time, whenever New York opened. So we'll change back. Actually, I think it opened a little bit earlier. Oh, London, I'm sorry. Oh no, 1 when it opened, right? I will go back to the 4 hour chart. And meanwhile, I'm doing all this, I'm aware of my previous green or my previous support and resistance lines from the previous highs and lows of the previous day. I know I just said previous a lot. I'm sorry. Cool. So let's see. Yep, all up. Right, we'll go to 15 minutes, see what happened price structure wise. Now with the London, you don't have to be uh, as strict with the entry point. For the most part, if the 4 hour says it's going to go up, get in, right? From my experience. So we'll go with price action on the 15-minute chart, see how many failed retracements we get. And, I still like doing this because it helps me psychologically. So what we're looking for is the low to be lower than the previous low. Right here, not by much. Really, you can argue that's not, but technically it's a failed retracement. So we have one failed retracement. And if you want to be crazy, I guess that could potentially be two. But bam, right? So all this would have been true after the London market. The New York market is the market you have to be the most careful with, right? That's the market that has the highest probabilities of reversals, right? So London market trends a lot. New York can trend a lot as well. Mostly it does trend. But if you're looking for huge reversals that'll just knock your socks off, for the most part, it's New York, right? So you can kind of see it has big moves, but it also has insane consolidation. Like look at these railroad tracks right here. Those are insane, right? But anyway, we'll do price action. More than likely, I would have kept the uptrend I was going, but I would have restarted the my count on failed retracement, so I don't have to do that. That's all been done. Um, like I said, that's potentially one. Yeah, one failed retracement. That's two failed retracements. Bam. And then that's when we would have gotten into the market, the Asian market, right? So still, we're looking at 63 pips for the profit. So we'll go to Asian market using our sessions indicator. Take everything else off, right? And bam, right here to right here is where we would have been on our 4-hour. That, if I'm not mistaken, that crosses over to down. Yeah, see, it immediately crosses into down. So I'm pretty sure I went over this, but I'm gonna just go over this one last time. Go to the 15-minute. And in order to get an entry into the Asian, I like to be a little bit more cautious just because I want to get the best positioning. All right, so this first candle doesn't have a huge wick, right? So I probably would have waited till this one, right? Which I did actually. I got in right here. So red, green, red. And then maybe I got in a little bit late, somewhere around here. Bam, a good 28 pips for the profit, and then there we go. Cool. So I think I've just really covered how to trade the markets. Really good. So, right. Well, good luck, guys. Make that money.